Hey guys, we're on the Miami Made Show podcast, setting the record straight. I'm Angelo, my co-host Bobby.
Radical.
We got artists, one of the most well-known artists in Miami today, Rioo Leon. How are you, my brother?
Thank you for having me.
We're going to need this for him. 1, 2. There you go.
So, guys.
There he is.
Thank you for having
And
me.
we have the most iconic legend in Miami, John Turchin, ladies and gentlemen.
Good
my
to
man.
See you. Good to see you.
Good to
guys.
see you.
Yeah, we know John from Club New. Club New was the premier club to really put South Beach on the map. You know, other clubs like 1235 attempted, Decos attempted. You know, they did a job, but it wasn't until Johnny opened up Club
Well,
New.
it actually was Club Z.
Club
Yes.
Z.
Club
Yes.
Z.
And
Yeah.
and at that
Yeah.
time, all the clubs were on that side of Miami, and he was one of the first ones to do it over here in South
Yeah.
Beach,
Yeah.
right? At least at the time, in the 80s, right?
Yeah.
And I would say, John, it was competing against Studio 54, somewhat,
we
right?
Were
It had-
we were the Studio 54.
exactly.
Yeah.
We took their place.
Yes.
Exactly.
And
Did you meet Ian?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
did you see the documentary they did on them?
Yep. The one he did. I just
Yeah.
saw the most recent one
yeah,
he
the
did.
most recent one.
The-
Well, we were parallel to a lot of those things that they were doing, except that we didn't go to jail.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Well said. And to add to that, people say the 80s was Studio 54. Well, late 80s, 90s, Miami
Yep.
was the place.
We were the place. We built it and they came.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And it was the bar with the cocaine on the tables. That was
The real deal.
yeah, the real deal.
This
Yeah.
was the real deal.
Yeah.
You know, not
On-
made up. or
Yeah, this is where
fabricated.
Willie and Sal went to party.
Yeah.
We have, and I'll share with you, Rigo, just to give you a little backdrop, and we'll share more of that documentary from the making of South Beach that Bobby started, and we're doing a new one as well. There's a few other ones that we have ongoing. We have the Facebook page, but there's an interview with John Turchin about that time, and I kid you not, it's Rod Stewart, Elizabeth, like all these names,
Liza
Grace
Minnelli.
Jones, Liza Minnelli,
Yeah.
some of the biggest names hanging out at his spot and having the time of their lives. I mean, you have no idea. And then much more because they would stay and hang out with him, and they would go out on the boats and have fun.
Yeah.
all
Well,
that.
we
Johnny
didn't-
had an
we-
Avance,
we didn't-
33-foot
yeah,
Avance.
We didn't have this device,
Yeah.
and
Correct.
everybody was safe. And what
Yeah.
went on stayed, private, and they all were safe to enjoy themselves and party, do whatever they wanted to do, and it was never broadcast.
Yeah.
So and if
Was
we
no
ever
need for
took a
that.
picture of any celebrity,
No need for that.
Yeah, you had to get their permission.
before we ever sent it out, we got their permission from management to publicize the picture. And a lot of times, no, we don't want our we don't want to know anybody. But that it was a safe place back then. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the venue. I believe it was some kind of restaurant prior to it. I forget the name right now.
Embers.
Embers.
Yeah, it was one of the most famous restaurants in Miami.
Yeah. How did that come about? Tell us that story. How did?
Embers and the Bonfire and what was his name? Radio. He ended up in Bimini at the Red Lion. He opened the Bonfire, Embers, all those restaurants back then, and they all had the Big Pit Barbecue and famous restaurant forever. Every celebrity was in there. They were famous for their ribs and chicken and their apples and.
And so was
Their
the place
salad.
was the place for sale, or was it? How did it come about? How did you
So
take
we
over?
were trying to open a club. And first we were on Lincoln Road, and we messed around for 4 years at the Colony Theater, which was city-owned, on Lincoln Road. And I could never make a deal with the city on Lincoln Road. Lincoln Road I thought was the perfect place to just take the club life and expand it all through Lincoln Road. And anyway, couldn't put that deal together. Back then, who was involved? Bobby Bleemer was designing, and Saul Gross was involved, and all of the characters back then were all promoting, how to get this thing going. But Club Z had opened up and quickly closed, and then we opened up. And what happened is I bought a 99-year lease on a closed restaurant.
Wow.
And
I think Jack did that too, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And back then they didn't sell real estate.
Right.
They were 99-year leases on all these properties.
Yeah. So you were grandfathered in. Like you had the best deal. What was it, like $1,000 a month?
It was 2000.
Oh my God.
Well, to give you guys a background, Johnny's father built most of Mid Beach, right?
We built 200 buildings here in Miami Beach.
Yeah.
So everything down Collins Avenue. My grandfather came here in 1929
After the hurricane.
as a hoteler and a banker. And he started building the hotels on, this one still standing is the Ocean Palms, which was, that was one of my grandfather's first building, and a bunch of them are still here today.
Yeah.
And then we built everything on Collins, all the Seacoast, and the Seville, which is now the Edition.
Yeah.
All those iconic buildings.
Over by
Saxony we
Vienna,
built, and all of those buildings. Yeah.
Wow. And what was it like then? Let's give the audience a little bit of a perspective of the time in Miami at that time. What was it like?
Well, my father's era was wide open. All the guys were coming from all over the country. This was where all the entertainment was, and all of the hotels. This was it. People think we did it in the 80s, and they're doing it now.
He's talking about the first Renaissance.
Yeah. They started back. This was the place to be, and why? The weather.
What?
Okay, they came for the weather and the opportunities and the beaches and the girls, and it never changes.
It's always the same.
It's always the same.
Backdrop.
Back then, like it's unfortunate that Deauville is no longer there, but we we saw the Beatles there. I was
Sullivan
there
and Sullivan show, right?
The Ed Sullivan show.
I got to walk in there and walk around, and there's still some things in there backstage, like plaques and things like that. And there's like a weird, beautiful, magical thing that you feel when I was walking through there, knowing that that's where Ed Sullivan had the show, but also the first Beatles.
That was history.
There was history there. My wife's father, Leslie the barber, had his barber shop there. Cut every star's hair, Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis, the Beatles. He cut them all. Yeah. And Penny Lane was written about my father-in-law.
Oh, wow.
But, it's that was history. My sister met the Beatles on the beach, ended up on the cover of Life magazine, brought Ringo home for dinner.
No. Oh, my God.
It was different times.
Different times.
Yeah, that was
You gotta
early
attend
60s.
podcasts, right?
We only
some more
take with
info.
us our memories.
Absolutely.
And we're talking about the 80s, the 90s, what made Miami, and the groundwork was laid way before this era and this group came along.
Way before.
And then it went to Cuba.
Yes.
And then my father was involved, in Cuba in that whole era. Building there in the casinos, and then Castro came, and then that folded up, and it came back here, and then Miami fell into disrepair. Orlando opened up, took all of the business. Miami fell into total disrepair. Miami Beach had a building moratorium for 10 years. Wouldn't allow a permit to be pulled. They were trying
South of Fifth Street, yes.
Yeah, they were trying to make this Venice, cut canals all through here. They wouldn't allow a building permit, so they turned it into a slum.
Yeah.
Section 8 housing.
Yeah, they went to Hollywood Beach, right? That area for the Venice. Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. So in that time, let's go right back to the 50s. So you had the Frank Sinatras, all that time, the Beatles, Fountain Blues, become I think Eden Rock.
The Boom Boom Room, I think.
Yeah, the Boom Boom Room. And it had another one. It had another
the
name.
Poodle Room. The Poodle Lounge. Yeah.
Yes. So you're what, in your 20s at that time, or am I going too far?
I'm turning 69.
Yeah. So you
Sunday.
Okay.
Okay. So
happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday, John.
Happy birthday. You don't look it at all, man. I'm telling you, whatever it is you're doing in North Carolina.
Well, I live in a paradise now. I've just moved the concept to North Carolina, how we stay young and well and have fun, enjoy. And we're promoting, we have always created and sold lifestyles. Right. And now we're doing it on the farm, the Horseshoe Farm in North Carolina.
And it's called what?
The Horseshoe Farm.
Okay.
And it's about wellness and great restaurants and a full spa. We have sweat lodges, and my son Jordan and his wife Rachel run the place and programming it, and they're taking this to the next level. They're the next generation taking this to where it needs to go, and it's all about health and wellness now. Yeah. Promoting that versus staying out all night, drinking, and taking drugs all night. Right. Now it's how you stay healthy.
And it's pretty big. Let me tell you, this generation is really big on that. So I'm kind of excited about that for the generation. My son's 31. He's turning 32 actually next week, and he's all into that. And my daughter, she's 25, and she's all into that. And I'm so thankful because they didn't go, the route that I did, which was to have fun in nightlife, hospitality, and entertainment, and so forth. but I see the generations really falling. That's a great thing because health and wellness right now is huge.
Yeah.
Even in Miami, they're doing pop-up events all over South Beach and Miami and downtown where they pop up and they do these ice plunging and these exercises.
Oh, they're out today. It's 20 degrees. They're doing cold plunges today up there. It's like,
It's not too much for me. But I got to come up there. We're going to come up there and visit you, man, and hang out with you. You still up there? You're back and forth?
I spend most of my time there now.
Yeah.
You know, you remember Norman Bedford?
Yes, Norman
Yeah.
Bedford.
Norman's up there with me. And Norman, you know, we've opened up, we talk about a cool little spot I heard you talking about. What's a new... We opened up a place called the Crossroads Root and Bone, and it's all old rock and roll. And Norman's programming the whole thing.
That's
and,
so cool, man.
You know,
We
it's
gotta
a
come
cool
up there.
little neighborhood bar.
Yeah.
And you know, bottom line, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
If you do something and you put some life into it,
Yeah.
they will come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've always done that.
Yeah.
You've done that with your brother and
Yeah.
your whole team. I remember one time I think it was, so I'll tell you two things. One was, I think it was Don Johnson and Mickey Rourke doing a film, Marlboro Cowboy, was it? And the party was at Club New. And I remember getting the flyer. I was walking up and down the street. They gave me the flyer, and I said, I'm going to go check it out. And I went over there, and I remember, even at that, I think that's probably like somewhere in the 90s, right? Somewhere there in the 90s. And I remember...
Late 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
Miami
And-
Vice was hot in the 80s,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And I remember going into Club New and going, wow. You know? And hearing stories of, but you missed the years earlier. And I'm like, this is pretty cool. You're saying there was something cooler? Give us a little bit of a story of that time in Club New that were just wild.
Well, they were all wild, you know? Again, you know, like Mickey Rourke, we grew up down the street from each other here. You know, so anytime anybody was in town, they were there.
Right.
You know, Rod Stewart would fly into town and we would lock him in a room with a bunch of blonde, beautiful women, you know. And
You stay in touch with him?
but I should, you know.
He's like really, I see some beautiful videos of him
Who,
with his
Rod
family.
Stewart or
yeah.
Mickey?
Yeah, both, right? Mickey. Yeah.
Mickey we still speak
Yeah.
to Mickey, you know.
Yeah.
Mickey plays himself well.
Yeah, he does. And his social media is super engaging. The things he posts, he'll post the randomest thing, and it's just cool. You're like, okay, that's Mickey.
But you know, they were all real people here. Nobody was pretending.
Nobody.
You know, today there's so many wannabes that come here and try to buy their way into. We were talking the other day. You know, we would throw after you get out of the club business, you build a party house. The house I had on Hibiscus Island,
I remember.
and you know, there was 1,500 people New Year's at my party, and I knew they had to be invited. They weren't on a list of somebody inviting, and we knew everybody, and everybody were a tight group of people that all knew each other, that could party all night together and have fun.
Yeah.
Doesn't exist today.
Doesn't exist. We were chatting
exist.
about that earlier. I'm glad you mentioned that again because it's very important to me personally. You know, loving the city, representing the city, using the platforms that we're using to tell the stories, and honoring all our friends like yourself and all our friends that are here today and that are going to be on the show, and they're on the page and they're on the documentary and so forth. But most people don't realize how special it was back then, how personable, how bonding, how fraternal, how family-wise, how close it was, and how important it is. Relationships. I've always talked about relationships to my kids and my friends and my business partners. Relationships are more than money. And back then, in that time, in this bohemic island life that we had in Miami, the special, most magical moments of 80s and 90s, it was all about relationships, you know, and that's gone. That's lost right now. It doesn't exist at all. And I'm sure right now, you do something, everyone's going to just pop out of nowhere and support it because of that. And that longevity, like that bond, like that, that's really important.
I don't know if I'm throwing any more parties down here.
Cold plunges.
We have a new place. You know?
Well, Club New was very unique because you changed over the design of the place quite often.
Well, we were able to keep it alive by changing every 6 months. You know, we would redo the entire place and have a grand opening and reignite the place and make it magic. And
One was
you know, we were
Egyptian.
talking before. You know,
there's
we
no
were
way they
showing me
can do
pictures like Romero Brito when he first came here. He was up on the stage painting live with 3 other artists, and then we auctioned off his artwork for $300 and gave him the money.
Wow.
Okay, I mean, there was just such a fresh group of people, and it was all fresh. It was bohemian.
He did
new.
the same with me.
I did the same for him. I did a pool party on a rooftop, and I said, come
And
do this
somebody
live
stole the
painting.
painting.
You know?
I learned from the best.
And somebody stole the painting.
And
Somebody
someone
stole
the
it.
painting.
Yeah,
And it was a painting of a well-known
where's the painting?
artist. It was
Oh, yeah.
Chacal, right?
Yeah.
Chacal. He did
It was a big painting.
I had Chacal sing live, and then I had him doing a portrait, a rendering, live. And at the end of the event, someone stole the painting. But I learned that from guys, my original guys right here, like my mentors here. So going back to that time, you know, I'm so moved by the documentary, the interviews that Bobby has with you, because the stories you tell are so engaging, so powerful. And Miami has so many stories. We were with Billy Corbin earlier talking about how many untold stories of Miami. And, you know, us Miami guys were like, yeah, that's how it was. Like, it's normal.
Billy's a little younger, isn't he?
Yeah, he's probably in his, I wouldn't say 40s.
Yeah, he's,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
No, my age.
Yeah.
So he heard the stories we created.
No,
Exactly.
I heard the story.
You told me a story about the hip hop party you had there, or the shooting. And
Oh, yeah, that was a good. So, How Can I Be Down?
Yes.
Peter Thomas brings it to town. This is Memorial Day.
is this 2000, 2001?
Yeah, about then, you know.
I was
And
already
no,
here.
no, no,
I
no,
even
no.
hear
This
about
is
it.
1990. This is
Oh,
this
right,
is
right, right,
1990.
yeah.
You know, before.
Yeah,
early.
this is
And the city's trying to figure out how to, you know, get business here, and they embrace the How Can I Be Down crowd, and they come and
yeah. I never saw so many police outside
Yeah.
of your venue.
you know, normally I have two or three police officers, and
but they're all
and-
across the street
yeah,
in the library.
And 12 security guards. That night I had 35 security guards, 15 police. The city is sanctioning us to do this. Great crowd, you know. I mean, we were going on to a record night. I was selling champagne that night, not in buckets, in garbage cans. You know,
Wow.
25 bottles at a time. Cash in a garbage can. I'm calling up everybody that has a club down here. It's on
Buying
a
up all their
Sunday night.
champagne.
I'm buying all their champagne. We're going off
I
to
think I remember
friggin'
that.
record night. And
I remember being inside a
and
club where they were
me-
saying that
yeah.
somebody's trying to buy our champagne.
Metal
Yeah, that was Johnny.
metal detectors. We protected the place, you know, and all of a sudden you feel the momentum. The place is the
Energy.
momentum's going, the energy's going, and dirty old bastard gets up there on the stage and ends the night, takes out his gun, shoots the place up.
Wow. Oh, my God.
Everybody runs out the
That was
door.
in every news.
Okay, nothing but left behind were hats and shoes, you know, and,
my
and they grab the cash registers on their way out the door, you
No.
know, and then the police, you know, they bring me in and say, I created this problem, you know, and like, I created it.
How can I be down?
Peter Thomas is still doing it today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Incredible.
We
See,
only take with us the memories, though. You
The
know?
memories.
The memories.
and
that
they're
night,
special.
Yeah.
I sometimes lay in my bed at night and I'll just start remembering things and I'm just like, wow. Wow. Like, you know.
That's all we take with us,
Yeah.
you know.
And from that time and since then, was there ever any moment in Miami for you, John, that you saw something, whether it was your event or someone else's, that you walked into and you were like, wow, this is Miami? That you can recall a festival, a private event. I mean, I know you must have had many yourself. I know that personally, but any that you remember off the top of your head that you're like, wow, and so-and-so was there, and so-and-so was there, and so-and-so, and it was just like, it was like a movie.
I think what topped off the club days were then the parties I threw at the house on Hibiscus.
Yes.
The New Year's parties.
That
you
beautiful
know,
home.
Yeah, you know.
Who designed that home?
I designed it. I
Yeah?
designed it and built. That's what I do. I design
Yeah.
and build the most unique architecture. I surround myself. I'm designing some houses right now, the most magnificent modern farmhouses that I've got some of the best architects in the country, and I'm pushing them to a level that, and I always do that, and
Amazing.
push design to another level. I'm not afraid to do something different.
And what's your
that's where-
inspiration? Like,
I just enjoy having fun and doing things, and I enjoy pushing people to, you know, to their maximum, what they can do. What they normally do, ordinary, is not right. And I've never been afraid to push
The
and
limits.
do something
New.
and do
Innovate.
something new.
You're an innovator.
Yeah, and
Innovate.
that's what drives me. Whether it's an artist,
Yeah.
design,
Did you see his art?
entertainment. Yeah, it's great. You know.
Yeah. He's doing.
I'm definitely going to the farm. 100%.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you guys met. Good friends.
Yeah.
Good friends. So yeah, Rigo's done some really good art in Miami. He's become very, very
Yeah.
well known. We met a while back when he first got here, and through mutual friends and the story we shared earlier. But it's amazing to see. We drive around, and I just see his art everywhere. It could be at a red light, could be just on a pole somewhere. It's amazing how the city has embraced his art. Club 11, who happens to be a club that's very presently known and popular, got you to do their vodka.
The new bottle, like a limited edition bottle.
How was that for you?
Well, I mean, it didn't start there. I mean, I think the big first opportunity was McDonald's, that they approached me to design the only McDonald's at that moment designed for somebody that is outside their own team, and they actually request to put my elements into the design, and it's in Calle Ocho. Being born and raised in Cuba, and the first place that I went trying to showcase my art was in Calle Ocho, and everybody told me no, because I wasn't painting nothing related to Cuba. I wasn't painting palm trees or nothing
Dominoes
or stuff like that. So they all told me no, and it was for me the hard way, because I was trying to create something that was more universal, not so for a group of individuals or people. I was trying to be, as an artist, to be more global, unique, trying to push that. And when I finally got approached from McDonald's, and I designed the Madonna, I didn't include my elements, and then they were the ones who told me, no, but you're missing your paper bowl. Where is the paper plane? Where is these elements? And that kind of like hit me like in a good way, because that's what they were looking for.
Yeah, they recognize your talent.
Yeah, and then
the uniqueness.
And that was really like, I really appreciate that. And then they brought it to the equation, different artists, and the recognition started building up. And from there, and then I got a call for F1, Patronas Benz, Mercedes-Benz. Shout out to them. They hit me up in an Instagram. I thought it was completely fake. And I was like, no way.
Yeah.
And now you're sitting next to John Turchin.
And that's life. Life is a mystery. I'm here, like, I'm honored. And when F1 called me, I told my friend, here's the phone, like, can you read that? Like, I couldn't, like, it's spam. Yeah, absolutely. And then, no. And then I got to do it. And little by little, that hard work that I put in for so many years since I got here, with my mom, just me and my mom, and like I work at Papa John's construction. I did so much. I tried to learn English at nighttime, put myself in the school.
So when did you start painting?
Since I was 9 years old.
Okay.
I always painted. That was my dream. Every time I knew that was what I want to do, and it was kind of like hard explaining my family. And I got married so young because I was trying to create like a structure that I didn't have. And my son now the oldest is 22 and the youngest is 14.
So he could be one of my children.
100%. and all that hard work and people saying no, the family, divorce, all that, and now they all like look back and they are like, "Che, we were wrong. You were doing your, like you really were working hard for this."
Andy Costas. He's an interior designer for a lot of the venues and nightclubs.
Yeah, he's built a lot of nightclubs.
Yeah, and he had his own nightclubs.
And that's it. And after that, I mean, I got involved with so many like people. I designed clubs here in Miami Beach. At some point, Opium Group called me when I was early. I did some little things for them. My name wasn't like hitting hard yet, but they hired me as an artist to recreate maybe like some of his interior designs. But that's how I get involved on that scene. Then Kiki on the river, they called me to do a few things. That I always tried to run away from all that scene, but they always call me back, grab me back, like, no, we need you.
So I want to pay tribute to another fabulous Cuban artist, Rodolfo Tierra.
Yeah.
No longer with us today,
Yes,
but
rest in
Rodolfo was here in the beginning, created.
Pioneer.
Yeah, he was doing all the set changes for us, and then he opened up and built the Institute on Lincoln Road.
Yes, that was one of your spots.
And it was all Rodolfo.
Yeah, open
and
doors
his
for so many
creativity,
people.
and that was a wild place.
Yes,
that
the
was
Institute. Elaborate
really
on the Institute.
Very
It was
big.
on Lincoln Road.
This was a club, Rigo, that was very unique. It was off Lincoln Road, off an alley, Later on, it became MTV Studios or something like that.
Yep.
And be better now? Yep. All right. Apologize. So he had a club of the many he's had that was called the Institute. And I think the idea, the concept was to play alternative music, right? It was that one
it
of
was
the
the first industrial club.
Yeah.
It had a stage. It had these.
It was an old, burnt-out theater.
Warehouse.
With 60-foot
60-foot
proscenium
ceilings
in there.
Yeah.
The design, I kid you not, Rigo. Even like for someone going to the club just to have fun or whatever, I would look at the design and the panels and the walls and the pillars and the stage. It was unique. Who did
That was all Rodolfo.
Rodolfo.
That was
Oh, wow.
That was our studio that we built the sets for Club New.
Yeah, you once had a tube. You had to go through these
You had
tubes.
to go through
Yeah.
a tube when
That
you
was
go
a
in.
giant
What is the name of
vagina
the
you
club?
walked
The
through.
Yeah.
Institute.
That giant
Yeah, let me
vagina.
It was he had the visionary coming from his background, the talent, and his family to not just do nightlife but create an environment, an artistic
So we did
decor.
that. $10, all you could drink.
Yeah.
Had
And there's a line around the door, and it was a
had
long.
2,000 people there, and they all paid to come in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get, and it was an art gallery. I got away
what-
without having a liquor license for a year, without and you came in and you paid $10 to come into the art gallery.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's beautiful.
That's genius. Genius.
The last place that I designed was a club in Change, is here on I think it's down the street here.
Down the street.
And then I got involved with Hyatt. I'm one of the designers for the Hyatt for the brand. And
I've
that's,
seen it.
And then all that got involved, and now I was in Europe painting in
Was it
Barcelona.
before or after the party I did with you?
Oh, that was your party. That was one of the first things that I actually did, and that's how we met. That we got introduced from promoters. I think.
One thing about Miami guys and old school guys, we'll see a talent and we'll promote them. We'll open doors for them and we'll help them. That's the Miami culture. That's the Miami original spirit, right?
Yeah, I own a lot of my work to Nelson and you, like Nelson Martinez from Miami Vice.
Yeah.
That he's been in the game also for like almost 30 years. And he
There's
saw
the
me.
Latin
He was
parties.
the first one.
Well, Miami Vice
Nobody believed in me. He
made
believed in me.
worldwide made
Yeah.
this place
On the
gave
map.
Put us on the
money
map.
that, Yeah.
Hands down.
You know
The-
why?
you know.
why? And I want you to elaborate on that because it was talking about a subject that was okay but taboo at the same time, right? Drugs and crime and all that. It had a very glamorous look of these Vice squad, Don Johnson,
Yep.
Crockett. Tubbs. But the backdrop was
Yeah.
Miami.
Yeah.
And then you had Scarface had already pulled out, right?
Yep, that was done.
And so the image and on the news, it was pretty crimey here in Miami, right?
It was.
But yet
That was real.
But
Yes,
people still
yeah,
wanted
the
to
Welcome
come
to
here
Florida
Still.
t-shirt.
because they would see it and they're like, I want to be there.
But don't matter where you travel now. Doesn't matter. I just got back from Europe painting this big mural.
They
And
still
then, are you from Miami? Oh,
Yeah.
we want to be in Miami. Oh, I want to go to Miami.
Do you get
What
that in
you
North
doing, man?
Carolina?
You know?
About
Yeah.
hey, you're John from the.
No,
They don't know.
Everybody, I know enough people.
He's not a friend of mine. So, any stories, and we'll go back and forth of John of characters, maybe drug lords. I saw a little bit on the documentary. You mentioned a little bit about it.
Well,
Yeah, when Sal came back.
you guys were talking about where the bottle service came from earlier. There's an article in Maxim magazine, the 15 best booziest spots, and where bottle service came from, and Club New is in there with it. But where it came from was Sal and the Cocaine Cowboys
Los
that were
Muchachos.
in there.
Los muchachos.
They would put a naked girl on a table and put kilos of cocaine on top
Well,
of
Mickey
her.
was at that party that I did with you.
And the little midget ran around with a duffel
Mickey
bag.
Monday. That's right.
Yeah.
He came to one of my
Okay.
parties where I had Mickey
But
Monday.
listen to this story. Say this
and,
again. Tell the story again. This is a good soundbite. Listen.
Go for
Start
it.
from the beginning.
Well, they didn't want to be done with the waitress, so they would put the naked girl, and the little midget would put kilos of cocaine on top of the naked girl, and they would snort it all. And they drank aguardiente and Chivas,
Yes.
Colombian firewater, and that's where the bottle service started. And they said, "How much for a bottle?" All right, I don't know, 25 shots at $5. All right, $125. Here's a bottle. And they would tip the waitress
it?
10
100%.
grand,
Yeah,
a
that's
diamond tennis bracelet. Here's a keys to Mercedes,
Wow.
Crazy.
And everybody walked out of my club with $1,000 and $10,000 a night cash.
Staff.
Staff. And
Yes.
I had 35 waitresses and 25 bartenders, and they all walked out very happily.
Wow.
And they came back the next day and made it again,
Yeah, that would be almost comparing it to the mutiny in that regard, right? Where
Yeah,
staff
it
was
was-
getting overly tipped.
Yeah, it was the next phase after the mutiny.
Right.
The mutiny had run its course at that point.
I think Facade and then Back Streets maybe were around the same time, right?
And actually Al Baker and
Yeah.
Facade
Yeah.
and there was a
Manhattans.
real
Yeah, the Baker
interesting
Center.
group of
Baker Center, Parallel Bar.
interesting group of characters around here back then created the scene, the mutiny and Honey for the Bears.
Honey for the
and
Bears.
Sunny place for shady people.
City limits.
what is it on 79th Street?
Oh, yeah.
Sammy's East Side.
Sammy's, yeah.
It's Steve Pisano's. That was his. wasn't it?
Yeah, Steve Polazar.
Polazar.
Steve Polazar.
We went to Books and Books
Sammy
recently.
Polazar.
Me and Bobby went to Books and Books in Coral
Mine
Gables.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
Names.
And we saw T.J. English, who's the author of many, many books. He finally interviewed Willie Falcone, and I was, we were there, and we were friends, and the family was there. We were all there, and in my head, I'm listening to the story, which is brilliant, amazing, and it's beautiful because he humanized it, the whole story, and it was actually Willie who chose him and spoke to him, right? And we all knew this. Willie Falcone was very well known.
Willie Falcone.
And he was really good friends with my dad, and I'm really good friends with the daughter and the family. We're all there, and I'm thinking in my head, these folks were all at Club New.
Yeah.
They were.
That was a common denominator.
We were able to mix all the different groups of people
Right.
together happily in one place. They all had their
harmony.
section in the club. They'd all dance on the dance floor, and then go back to their corners of the club.
Well, it was multi-level, too.
Yeah, and we had a 5-star restaurant. Dino from Osteria de Teatro ran the restaurant.
Wow.
Love
And,
Dino.
Yeah, and we had Pino Martelli from Italy.
Yeah.
We brought him in. The best food ever, and you could eat till 6 in the morning.
Wow.
Until we were
Wow.
serving you breakfast. And
I
then
ate your tulips one
I
night.
missed
You
that.
had tulips on the table, and I ate them all.
Definitely we don't
Michael
have that.
Capone. Michael Capone was like a waiter or something.
Michael started
Yeah.
as a barback
Yeah.
or busboy in
Yeah.
the place, I'm dealing with Michael today with Global Empowerment
Yes.
Mission. Michael does fabulous things all over the
Amazing.
world.
Yeah, I was chatting with
And
him.
when the hurricane just hit us in North Carolina,
He
Michael
came.
showed up there that night with semis, aid,
Helicopters.
helicopters.
That's amazing.
We ran aid, and today we're still. Michael was just there the other day. We're still following up now that he created a grant program and giving away $1,000 to $10,000 to small businesses to get back started.
That's
Amazing.
And not just help the immediate situation, but the long-term. But Michael is
Doing a
saint.
great job.
Michael's on another
God bless
mission.
you, Michael.
Yeah, God
You
bless.
know, in
Michael
this
Capone,
world-
you may have heard the name,
Yeah.
was a promoter. And
He was
he's-
passing. He was
Flower
sweeping the
boy.
floors. And then he started passing out flyers and the skateboards.
and now he went from that, the world of hospitality that we all were in at some point or another, especially all us old guys, and he went on a mission to do really, I would say humanitarian. Yeah, humanitarian
It's all
work.
humanitarian everywhere in the world. Wherever
he
there's a
literally
disaster,
jumps.
he's first one there.
And John is talking about he's got this ranch in North Carolina, and they just were hit by the hurricane recently,
Yeah.
right? And he called his friend, and boom, he showed up. And Michael's done some really good things all over the world too,
Yeah.
all over the world. But that's brilliant and awesome that you shared that. I'm so glad you did.
Yeah,
Shout out to Michael Capone.
Michael's a pioneer here with the rest of everybody.
Yeah.
Who's made his mark in here
Yeah.
and continues to make his mark in the world in a much bigger way
In a much bigger way.
than any of these people will.
And that's what life's all about. You said memories, but also impacting other lives.
Yeah.
So those are two things that I agree, and I'm so glad we shared them here, and we're able to share the next generations what it's all about. Because someone opens a door, you accomplish certain goals, you contribute to a particular lifetime or society or industry. But then you know what? Pass it on. Do something great at the end for your legacy. And I'm so glad you shared that, John. And you're able to share that with us.
I believe in when you stay in the
yeah.
path and something that you love, at some point you're gonna have that call.
Yeah.
Like somehow you have all these opportunities and connections and ideas and God's gonna call you and they're gonna let's see. Now you're gonna
Something bigger and better.
return for something better.
John, before we close, can you add one more story that stuck in your mind from Club New that can outdo?
Because there's so many.
Yeah, I know there's one more you can give us.
I don't know.
I'll tell you one, and to see if we segue into another one. I'm telling you, maybe you come up with one. I was in a band for one day.
A boy band.
It was something like that. They had the #1 song, and they get booked to sing at his club, Club New. And I remember, so from the door, there was like tiers up, right, with mezzanine, and then to the right was the stage, and then there was that back
a bar up on the top.
So I get from my friends call me like, hey, we need you to do the keyboard, and I'm like, I don't play the keyboard. At that point I was a young actor and modeling all that stuff, and in these early '90s, and I said I'll do it. They're like, no, just pretend. We're gonna perform live at this club. I'm like, what club? They're like, Club New. I'm like, I'm 19 years old. Like, you think I can get in there? They're like, yeah, you're just gonna perform. I remember getting on there on the stage and pretending I'm playing the keyboard, the whole thing, and this place is packed. But the good news of the story there, I got laid.
I think many people did. I have more friends that, I met my wife in here, and they're married still today,
Yeah.
But, it was wonderful times there, and I think one of the things that stuck in my mind when John Sex and Julio Iglesias got up on stage together, where two worlds collided.
Wow, they
Oh, what about Lady Hennessy?
That's wild. That's wild.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Describe Miami in one word, John.
It was magic. We created it in fantasy for people.
Awesome.
That's what.
And you know what's good about today is there's so many people, and I keep hearing this back from all the old school guys. They see it on social media, and they're like, there's so many people talking about Miami. They don't even have the right guests. They don't have the right original people. They don't have the old school. They don't have the people who created it. And they're talking about Miami, and they're so happy that we're doing this podcast, as well as the documentary, as well as the page with the reunions and so forth. And I know you're a big supporter of us on that. But it's interesting how God blessed us, the universe, how everyone sees life and energy and so forth, to be able to have this opportunity with all our old friends, the fraternity, the family of nightlife and hospitality in Miami, right? To be able to tell these stories and honor each other, and be able to leave that legacy. And like you said, make mention of the most important things, which are our memories,
Well, I'm glad you guys are doing this because it would be forgotten without you doing it. And you're keeping...
The legacy alive.
Yeah, the legacy alive, whether anybody gives a shit or not.
Who cares? We were there.
Yeah.
We're on the map, and it's not going away.
And there's the next character.
Yeah. So, Rigo, say in one word what you describe Miami as.
Sunset. The most beautiful sunset.
That's life coming to life,
life
right?
coming to life.
Awesome.
You see it every morning, every night.
Look at the camera and just say, hey, this is Rioo Leon on Miami Made Show.
This is Rioo Leon, a Miami Made Show.
And this is Johnny Turchin on Miami Made Show. Glad to be here.
Awesome, guys. You guys have fun?
Absolutely.
Love you guys. Love you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend.
Pleasure.
Good contact there.
Yeah.